Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CTS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. If you somehow have been sleeping under a rock, we've been stuck in limbo for the past 2 years thanks to a stupid virus. Yes, the virus has been inflicted upon us since of March of 2020, and it pretty much changed the way all of us live. We all had our lives changed during this time of despair, but that didn't stop us from watching movies from our comforts at home. Disney and Pixar also didn't stop with their movie releases. And while Disney was trying to steal money from viewers with their BS Premiere Access, which I will get to in a video one day, Pixar released 2 movies in our time underground. Both films were relatively well received by critics, but didn't make the money back because of, well, you know. But what do I think of these 2 films? Well, it's time to find out. This is a double review of the pandemic era of Pixar with Soul and Luca. Joe, voiced by Jamie Foxx, is a middle school band teacher whose life hasn't gone quite the way he expected. His true passion is jazz, and he's really good. But when he travels to another realm to help someone find their passion, he soon discovers what it means to have a soul. Now for Luca. Set in a beautiful seaside town on the Italian Riviera, the original animated feature is a coming-of-age story about one young boy experiencing an unforgettable summer filled with gelato, pasta, and endless scooter rides. Because that's what Italy people do. Luca, voiced by Jacob Tremblay, shares these adventures with his newfound best friend, voiced by Jack Dylan Grazer, but all the fun is threatened by a deeply held secret. He is a sea monster from another world just below the water's surface. So the story for Soul seems like it has potential, but through the execution, it kind of fails. I don't really see this as a Pixar movie for the umpteenth time. Sure, it is written well, but the execution fails in my opinion. As for the story of Luca, well, it makes no freaking sense. Seriously, by 45 minutes in, I had to stop and watch the rest of it the next day. Even then, it makes no sense and is very cliched. But even though these films have weak stories, is there anything redeemable about these films? Well, surprisingly, yes. For the characters in Soul, I actually really enjoy watching Joe on screen. Yet I feel like the writing for his character could have been so much better if we had more time to watching him struggle, then I would have had more of a connection with his character. But in the end, I still think he's okay, and Jamie Foxx really does try with his performance, and it can get a little emotional at times, but she's so annoying, and by far the worst part of her character is that she takes over Joe's body for most of the movie, which hearing her voice coming out of a character like Joe just feels insulting. I can't really discuss the other characters because they don't really add much to the film. These airy characters, I'm just going to call them that because why not, are dumb, but they are animated well because I really like their designs, despite the fact that the picture I chose is very awful. Sorry about that. And everyone else is just kind of forgettable. So, yeah, the characters in Soul kind of suck, but are nowhere near as bad as the characters in Onward. As for the characters in Luca, well, it sucks to say it, but I hated most of them. Luca is just the male version of Ariel from The Little Mermaid, which I noticed 5 minutes in. Alberto has one generally good scene towards the end of the movie, which actually got me a little choked up, not gonna lie. But overall, he kind of annoyed me because of him becoming jealous because Luca is friends with someone else. I mean, come on with the stupid cliches. It's so forced at this point. Julia is okay at best, but she still aggravated me a little bit because of her loud voice. Like, seriously, why do all of the female girl characters have to enunciate with the loud voices in a lot of animated films I've seen? Her dad was also okay at best, but I still wasn't a fan of his character, really. He had a really nice looking design, and he told a good joke or two. But he still wasn't that great. Then we have the scumbag villain, Eric Cole. He was pretty funny overall, and he was actually my favorite character in the movie. But that being said, he still isn't the funniest Pixar character. But the parents suck because they are just horrible people. Why do they splash water on kids and try to send their son to live with a creepy uncle monster? What is wrong with them? Seriously, I've seen better parents. Like freaking Hercules' parents are better people because at least they tried to raise him like a genuine person. These parents are literally King Triton as two. But even then, King Triton, you know what? I can't say it anymore. These parents really just piss me off and they're the worst part of the movie. So yeah, the characters in Luca also suck. But they are still not the worst characters for Pixar. So it's time for the animation. In Soul, it's okay. The character designs are pretty weird, but the Soul world is pretty awesome and the real world is nice recreation of New York. But I would have preferred the animation if the character designs did not look the way they did, because it kind of just breaks the illusion. As for Luca, much like Onward, the characters are so bad looking due to the fact that they look so cartoony compared to the real world looking Riviera backgrounds, which is why the weird LSD dream sequences with the more cartoony backgrounds for the animation style is the more prepared route for me. But in the end, just like Onward, the animation would be so much better if the characters look better. And I can say the same thing for both films. Time for the music. For Soul, it takes a soul music approach, because of course it did. It's called Soul. What did you expect it to sound like? Rock and roll? I did not intend to rhyme. Some of it's great, but since I haven't seen the movie in a while, I don't remember that much of it. As for the score in Luca, I find it very pretty to listen to, as it beautifully recreates amazing sounds of the music of Italy. But I'd have to listen to it again in order to really enjoy it. I might pick it up eventually, but you never know. I might not, and I might. There's a difference between want and might. So, yeah, these movies aren't great. And if I had to watch one of these movies again, if given the chance, I'd probably watch Soul. But I wouldn't watch either of these movies again. They're not Pixar's worst films necessarily. Well, granted, Luca is worse, and it is actually one of the weaker Pixar films so far. But in the end, I just didn't like these two. But I hated Luca a little bit more. As for the scores, I knew the score I gave Soul, but I didn't know the score I gave Luca until I thought it through. My score for Soul is a 5 out of 10, and I know I'm going to get some hate for this. I'd give Luca a 3 out of 10. All I can say is, these movies are just not for me. If you like them, that's great. But I'm just not one of those people. Well, that's it for the double review. I know it was a bit shorter than usual now, but that's also kind of because I'm on a tight schedule and I have to read all of these out. But I would just like to ask you, if you guys have any thoughts on Soul or Luca, please feel free to let me know in the comments section below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings on it. And tune in next week when I take a look at the final Pixar film released exclusively on Disney Plus, and also one I'm not really excited to review, Turning Red. With that said, my name is Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.